Welcome to the Further North podcast, your weekly dose of the North Melbourne Footy Club. My name is Josh, and this is a fan-run podcast doing match previews, reviews, and everything North. Let's get it started.
Well, that is hard. It's such a hard intro to do.
Should I intro it or should you intro it?
I'll do the intro.
Please, can you please do the intro?
Guys, welcome back to the Further North podcast, where Josh is currently just in a mental manic state of just defeat after that match. So much so, he's passed on the intro reins to me.
Guys, I'm done. I'm completely done, and I need to make some big life changes. I'm as flat as I've ever been.
It's almost an out-of-body experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm spiritual now, and all of a sudden I've got an urge to know what your star sign is.
Well, Taurus, if we're going down that path.
Yeah, you would be too. You would be.
No, I identify as defeat after that one there. Yeah. It's just, well, where would you like to start?
How do we start this? We've just lost to the West Coast Eagles by 5 points. Now, regardless of what happened during that game, a loss, it's not good enough.
No.
And there's not many positives to draw from this game. In isolated spurts, yes, but I don't really feel like giving them any credit because I hate all of the players.
It's hard. Like, we've watched a quarter and 10 minutes of good footy from them. And
against historically one of the worst teams ever.
Which annoyingly we saw today. They stood up to the challenge. They put the pressure on annoyingly at the worst time of the year for us.
Yeah.
I don't know where they were hiding that all year, or if they rise up for the occasion, or spoon bowl, they sunk to new lows.
Yeah. Yeah, my brain right now is completely scattered.
Well, I did take a quote from you just here that you said, getting up from the couch after finishing the match, I've never felt worse in my entire life.
Nothing more true has ever been said after a game of football. This is going to be one of those ones that, like a breakup, there'll be stages. Right now, I during the game, I was angry. I was angry. Right now, I'm completely flat. And then I know disappointment will settle in about 11 p.m. tonight.
That's the grieving stage?
Yeah. And then it's just, it's open. It's an open minefield where my brain goes from there. I think this podcast needs to be a reflection of how we feel. And hopefully that mirrors what all North fans are feeling. Because I'm telling you now, I'm not going to try and make positive arguments for this team.
Yeah.
Because they don't deserve it, and I don't have that ability.
And as you've seen, what we like to do, we're very positive. It's getting real hard to stay positive. It's definitely our shtick is to do the positive side.
Yes.
Oh, God, how do you do it after that?
It's hard. Look, who knows? Maybe 10 minutes in, I'll have mentally gone through my journey, and then here we go with the positivity. Maybe not positivity, but at least some fun and a little bit of cheer and laughter. But I got to have my reaction.
Well, just West Coast, carry that form on and give us the number one pick. What else do we have to show from this, really? Give us Harley. That's all we want now.
The only good thing that comes from this is surely now the AFL has to give us a priority pick.
Oh, 100%. If that wasn't the case before, they've got the case now.
Because I at the working at the barbershop, like I talk about all the time, I talk about a lot of footy, and the amount of supporters coming in thinking North shouldn't be getting something like that is insane. They're all supporting, everyone in Victoria only supports Collingwood and Richmond, but I don't know. It's just dire, and we have to be gifted something. Otherwise, we're going to remain where we are for a very, very, very long time.
You would think that, but there were parts of that game where we saw what they can do. mean, just look at Paul Curtis, just put the team on his back for a quarter.
Yeah.
We had 10 minutes of just taking the game on. Like, they can do it. They've shown they have it in them.
Why do you think
It's just a switch off.
Why do you think it fluctuated so heavily? Like you look at the worm from this game and it's like dominant West Coast, dominant North, dominant West Coast, dominant North.
Yeah. Like we said before the podcast, it was one end of the ground that just saw every goal but I think 2 or 3 today. So it would suck to be on the other end of that stadium.
Why do you think it's that inconsistent though? And I know we're never going to know the answer to this, but why can we come out so differently in so many quarters? Because I'm not a person that usually likes to read into body language too much, except for Ben Mackay. But he took some important marks today. But
how about that? out on the floor. No, it wasn't out on the floor, was it? He just a
the
massive
biggest shank you'll ever
kick,
see in the back pocket.
And he had a laugh for a second and then it kicked in that you need to recover from this.
Yeah, you need to,
Now the pressure's back on.
I just don't know how it swings that far. And the body language does look awful. And I really do think that we need a historical amount of turnover in this team. And I don't think it's individually just because the players aren't good enough, but I think the losing mentality is so ingrained in what our team believes. How do I say it? They dropped so much. And that's why I think it was so inconsistent. As soon as the first couple of goals went through for the Eagles, we just flattened for the rest of the quarter. Then we come back and we're dominant.
Is that missing someone to pick them up then? Is that missing
I guess
a bit of leadership?
I would say absolutely. And like I've been saying all season, especially in the last month or 6 weeks, I think Zeeble did that when he came on. To a degree, as much as you can do from the back line.
Yeah, a good last quarter for sure.
There's 2 people on this team that I trust to lift this team, and it's Larky and it's Zeeble. There is nobody else. Not McDonald and not Simpkin. I like Simpkin as a speaker, and he's a good face of the club, but even though his stats maybe reflect he had an okay game, I thought he barely had an influence on that game.
You don't think LDU?
Yeah, but I don't see him as the guy who's going to lead anything. He's a great player.
He's a lead by example kind of guy, but you think as far as speech and...
I just think his body language sometimes can be a little bit But I think everybody who plays for this team should be. I don't blame them because if I'd lost, what is it now? Is that 17 in a row?
Yes, it is 17.
That's insane to say out loud.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And you are on the podcast currently with Admin One, who has been blamed a lot for... the dip in form.
I should have introduced you. Sorry, I'm
I
so
figured
flat, man.
when I leave, you're just going to do your own little intro anyway, which is probably going to be harder then because it'll be in the grieving phase of this loss.
That's true, yeah.
But yes, Admin One has copped the brunt of abuse for the curse, which does correlate with every single loss this team has had this season.
The thing that's probably is the most dire thing about this club is that I did think we would win because Kane Turner was back, just like he's been for all our wins.
He did his job early.
He did his job early, and that's one of the points I wrote down was Turner's pressure and his goal early was great.
Well, that's his role. He kicks a goal. He gets 13 come on boys.
Yes.
He has maybe 4 tackles. That's his
He
role.
smothers as well.
He did it today.
Yeah.
He had that good smother.
But this is why the team is average.
Yeah.
Because we're looking for a guy like that in the most respectful way possible who's just not good enough to be on any other team in this league.
Yeah.
And we're relying on someone like that. Larky and Zeeble are the only 2 people for me that can pick this team up. Seeing Larky yell at people for not putting it on his chest, for not kicking it to his advantage.
Yeah, you like seeing the emotion.
Yeah, because that's what I think leadership is. You know, there's people, you can lead with your actions, but if you've got to have a combination as a leader, for me, you've got to be vocal, you've got to be loud, you've got to be telling people where to go, but you've also got to be able to back it up with your form. And people criticize Jack Zeeble a lot for apparently his bad kicking. I could not disagree more with that. Yes, Jack Zeeble kicked it out of bounds twice against Essendon. Other than that, he's the only one that gets it around the half back line and will hit a target and will maintain possession for our team. He does it every single week. He puts his body on the line. He's got good hands. and people seem to want him gone. And now he's retiring, which I guess we can talk about a little bit.
That's where do you go from here?
We need him.
Yeah.
We need him there next year because I don't see anybody who can do anything like he can do. And that's not because Zeebel's so amazing that no one can do it. It's because everyone's so poor. Maybe a Jackson Archer, who I thought competed really hard today.
Competed's the word because he lost a lot of one-on-ones.
Yeah.
But the effort was there when he was running people down.
Yeah.
He might have had a turnover and then he's the first one to try and mop it up. He was really putting it in. But
yeah, but I think his effort leads to at least a stoppage. Maybe he'll get beaten in a one-on-one or something, but I don't remember many times when he was beaten, which led to a goal.
Yeah.
And I think guys like that, the club's always been about like shin boner spirit and put your body on the line and heart and soul and stuff, but you can't keep saying that when the on-field performance is so different.
Well, I think the story with Zeebel is it's a very big part of do you embrace the rebuild. So if he's retiring, I mean, he's not going to be part of a North Premiership side, unfortunately, as we all might have thought.
Not next year?
I mean, if he does a shock comeback, but...
Like give us the John Farnham or something and just come back out of nowhere.
Yeah, just do it a couple times too.
Yeah.
Really rev the boys up.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think I want to go back to a point we had before of what happened today specifically because we saw important parts of the game where they really did well. I think we saw a lot of just the mental load of this week on them. I think both clubs, it just must have been in the players' heads all day, every day that this is a must win.
Yeah.
It's bottom of the table game.
Yeah.
And I think that really played on their minds today.
Yeah, I agree. And I said this a few weeks ago on the podcast was we need one, everyone said this, we need to learn how to win. But I don't know if I blame, I know he didn't play today, but like a Zerha, a Larky, a Simkin, an LDU, guys who have been here for 4 or 5 years.
I got to say, I don't think Zerha in the team today changes much.
You don't reckon?
Paul Curtis did his job.
Well, Paul Curtis did, but I like the...
You have two of them. I don't know.
I think Zerha's a good player to throw in the midfield to mix something up. And I think his aggression, we got bullied for 2.5 quarters, I guess.
Yeah.
And... you know, at least he'll get in and give it a go. And sometimes his pressure can turn something over. Like he could have been a difference with, you know, just sending the ball as long as possible to Larky's head and he can't mark them.
Which was the story of the day, wasn't it?
We needed a bit of X factor. And Paul Curtis brought that for a quarter, but then it went away.
Yeah.
Which I don't entirely blame him for, but...
well, I think they went to him then.
Yeah.
They did what teams do, and that's they adapt and they started tagging him.
Yeah, but the West Coast Eagles should not be tagging you out of a game. You know what I mean? And at the end, we said this sort of from the third quarter. It's just too little, too late.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy they made a comeback, and I'm, you know,
well, it gave us hope, and we said hope is a dangerous thing.
Hope is a dangerous thing
because
that's 2 weeks in a row.
we kept saying that it's just a bit out of reach, just a bit out of reach, and then Paul Curtis did that centering ball to Steve-O, which was the chaos ball that was needed for that point of the game.
Yeah,
and it just I don't know if it was the bounce, it was just the positioning. All that needed was that nice little push in, and I think who knows what could have happened. I did tell you when we were down by about I think 30. It's like there's a 1% chance we win this.
Yeah.
And it was close.
Yeah, I mean, you're on the money. You should have given us more of a percentage and we would have done it.
Yeah.
It's your awful call.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's the curse of admin 1. That's what they say. But
yeah. Maybe a lighter talking point. Simpkins' two-handed bounce. What did you think of that?
It was strange because he hit the one-handed bounce just the next quarter.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what?
He looked like he'd never bounced a football before.
I don't get it. Like, because that is like footy consistency. Because you think they're trying to spot up the target, so they're like, "I'm gonna drill it to this person," and then the double-handed bounce comes out of nowhere.
And I guess the Paul Curtis one where Paul Curtis didn't kick it, but it bounced off the line, and he just tried to shepherd it through. Which I don't blame Paul Curtis for not attacking the footy because he shepherded it over the line. That was the thing he should have done. But that's a 1 in a million
think he
bounce.
sat back and watched. I think from memory,
once the ball bounced, I'd like him to be a little bit more alert. But I think he did the right thing trying to shepherd.
That comes with experience too.
Yeah.
If you've been in that position, which is so rare. I mean, I haven't seen it before, or just those little bits, they improve as you stick it out. But That was a strange one. He recovered though because you
He
got to
did,
think he started
absolutely.
the game with he watched the ball come back into play,
Well,
and then he's hit
from
the
goal
post.
square. Yeah,
He's
the
hit the
old
post from the
Shannon
goal
Grant
square.
style.
And then he's kicked 3 from the goal square just within the next
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Look,
So
it was an
bizarre.
unbelievable quarter, and you can see what he can do. And this is why, for a long time, I've sort of tried to be like, he just keep him in the team and play him into form. I'm not saying he's in form now, but like we don't have the depth to be able to drop people all the time.
It's almost pick your 22, stay consistent, and
Yeah.
let them work it out.
Absolutely.
Well, another good one I thought,
Yeah.
building on Paul Curtis, was the Sheasel today.
The Shees train is going absolutely swimmingly. Yeah.
It's doing amazingly.
I didn't think. I was surprised when you told me that Shees had been everywhere because I don't.
You hadn't seen him, and I said he's leading ball getter on the ground
Yeah.
right now. And then I think LDU caught up in front.
I think there's just so much chaos going on in that back line that it all just molds
He moves it quick.
into one.
Yeah.
But no, Sheezer was class, and especially at the end there with that little
So
centering
clever.
ball
So clever.
straight to LDU. But once again, sort of too little, too late. Like we had momentum, and the Eagles were able to stem that flow for like 6 minutes when they locked it into their forward line all the time. We just have no transition football ability.
Do you think that was?
Yeah, you go.
Do you think that was Ratton rolling the dice by putting him forward? Because that was a
It had
long,
to-
it
had
was
to
a
have been.
long time coming. That
You may as well put everybody forward.
it looked like the only big switch up I saw when the team was down by 30.
Sheasel, we need someone else who's class off that half back line because Sheasel, I think, looks even better in the forward line or at least forward in the forward 50. But we got lots of players like that who dip in and out. It's like Taron Thomas. I thought, he started bright and he was around everything, but maybe the impact wasn't there. That's sort of how I feel about LDU today. Was his stats look great, but did he really, really impact the game? Probably the most out of North players, but not enough that we needed.
Well, I think both of them today, couple clearances each, couple times getting holding the ball, and that just that brings their level down a little bit.
Yeah,
But I want to say they fought hard.
they did.
But
I think they were trying.
we know they're talented.
Yeah.
So I think we're wanting to see a bit more because we're just looking for anything right now to kind of give us a bit of hope.
Dom Sheed really did a number on LDU and Taron Thomas in the middle though, and Will Phillips was anonymous on that field today.
Saw bits of him in the last quarter,
Bits
but
of him in the last around the ground, but
was
around
the
the
same-
contest, like the stoppages, anonymous.
it was the same with Steve-O. Like they came alive in the last quarter,
Yeah,
but
too little, too late
is the story of the day. And you can't be too little too late against the bottom side. And
Well, this
let's
is
be
the
real,
thing.
they suck.
They
ass.
suck. Yeah, but we suck.
Yeah.
And
That's
we're not
that's spoon bowl for you.
The only thing we've got going for us better than West Coast is we have potential.
Yeah.
Some A-grade talent potential. That's it. There's nothing else that West Coast do worse than us. Like, I'm not giving the team any credit anymore because I'm hurt and I'm emotional and I'm sad.
17 losses will do that to you. And I don't know what the next couple of games look like. I
Awful,
know
mate.
we've got, I want to say the guaranteed win against Richmond still to come.
We're not. Like, how have we got worse than last year?
Well, here's the thing. So from round 2, wins had already been matched.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can say we've got worse because, and the club's been through a bit of turmoil too. I think I said to you just before, you get a full season out of Clarko. I think this year's 4 wins, maybe 5 wins. I think it's been a lot of choppy changes, important players in and out, and obviously that goes for every single club. But the coach swapping,
I do
there's
agree.
been plenty that's rattled them.
Here's something for you then to get your opinion on. A little bit of a left sort of turn on this conversation, but looking at the grand scheme of the season, I think there's a lot more because when you listen to, old Caney Boy and Caro just going hell for leather at us, right? I'm terrified to see the midweek Kane Corns highlight reel of how bad North were.
Yeah, and I said that before, didn't I? I said the worst part
He's
about
going to
this.
have the week. It's like he's on the beach in Bali right now, feet up, a couple of ladies.
He's
on
that
his
meme
side.
where he's just like licking his lips, just ready to just
Absolutely.
annihilate. And
Yeah.
it sucks because
It does suck because he's such a wanker.
Because what sucks about this, and I said this to you before, this just validated all the bad things he was saying all year,
100%.
and that hurts bad.
100%. Anyway,
Not all of them, but there's a fair chunk now that
I
he's
agree.
right about, and it just sucks.
I agree because we all stood by this club saying,
And we're going to continue to.
and we are going to continue to.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer for this whole episode. I might not believe some things I say on this episode next week. So
Exactly.
give us a pass. Someone commented on one of the YouTube videos saying that I whinge all the time. And
17 losses will do
and
that
I'm like,
to
yeah.
you.
Why wouldn't I do that all the time? Anyway.
They should go follow North Close to a Flag. Try
Absolutely.
and
Get some
stay
light. Get some
positive.
light in your life, you know?
Oh, it's hard. It's
Light.
real hard.
If you weren't here right now, this podcast would be unlistenable.
I worry for the walls around here. You'd be screaming at them.
Absolutely. I might hibernate. Anyway, I think we've been screwed over in other aspects of things as well. And as an example for this, the 2 years that we got the number one pick was the Ashcroft and the Dacos drafts. And they both go to top 4 teams already at that point. And they're the best talents in the country.
Yeah.
Now, the father-son rule, as much as I love players like Jacko and Cooper Harvey coming into this team, but they're not first-round picks, right? That system is awful, the father-son thing. It's nice sentimentally, but though players of that talent should not be going to teams contending for a title. And imagine if we had some of those guys in our team. Yeah. If our midfield was Dacos and Ashcroft, we're not where we are right now. And does that also mean that we had another option and didn't have to draft Horn Francis, who then pissed off anyway? So we've really been screwed over in that aspect, which is just an AFL rule. It's not something we did wrong. Because if a kid tells us he wants to come to the club, you draft him, right? We just didn't know he lied to us. And if it's true. And would we have taken Dacos if he was available? We knew he was never available. Imagine if he was on our team.
Yeah, the guy's a freak. Of course you'd take him if you
100%.
could.
And Ashcroft as well. So the 2 years we've got the number one pick, I think the father-son rule has really, really screwed us over. The other thing is that North Melbourne went out and did something last off-season that literally changed the whole dynamic of the club, which is go and get Alistair Clarkson. Now, the fact that another club's screw-up is our problem is wild. And that's something that's not, like you said before, I also believe you. If we had Clarkson the entire year, I reckon we'd be about where Hawthorn are right now.
And that's not to say that Ratton is a bad coach at all.
No.
Because I firmly believe he should have 2 or 3 wins under this team. And I wouldn't say he's been stitched up because obviously it's a winless term he's had. But there's been some moments where he's come so close.
I kind of agree with you, but I kind of don't.
I like him as a coach.
See, I think we're falling, and this will be a good debate because I kind of disagree, but it's good content.
Yeah.
Great content.
If anyone chooses to listen to this after a huge loss.
If you're listening to this, you're a true stan.
They've got through all the other podcasts they had on their list this week.
Yeah. So there's a thing I think we do with North Melbourne, and I've used this with players like Corr and Jerry and guys like that. I think we've set the bar so low that when little things go right, we praise it like it's getting better when we always fall back into old habits. So there is a part of me that goes in isolation, the second quarter and the fourth quarter sort of pushback, great. But we will turn up next week and get done by 70 plus. And that's the thing. We've seen improvement, but there's always regression. And someone like Ratton, I think we're falling victim to the he's a nice guy thing. Where
I don't think he's a very nice guy. I think he's been spraying them recently. But
maybe, but every report from every St Kilda and Carlton fan I know is Ratton is a real clubman. He's a get around the boys kind of guy. He's a culture setter. And that's great. But if you don't win, I don't care about the culture. I don't care because you have to win games. I don't care about oh, the boys aren't that flat. It's actually really good culture there. Oh, everyone's turns up to training, puts in 100%. I don't care if you don't win. At this point, I don't care. Just win. I don't care if Luke McDonald's taking people out to Bulls cooking every night. I don't care if people are sitting there cracking a joke, fist bumping, playing some Lil Yachty and like dancing like teens. I don't care if everyone's happy to be there. Win a game of football.
It's hard, isn't it? Like, and
I wouldn't be saying this after a couple of
losses.
losses. I'm saying this after 17 in a row.
And it stacks. It's not like one loss hurts just as much as the next. The pain stacks and it gets worse. But I think looking at today, just as a standalone, we saw I think they had 32 points from turnovers in the first quarter.
That was
maybe
the first half, I think. Yeah.
That is not game plan. That is skill error.
Skill error, yeah.
So
I'm not completely blaming Ratton for like a bad game plan because we can see when it gets turned on, it's attacking, and I actually think we're exciting to watch sometimes.
I do wish he nipped it in the bud early for these kicking to contests because none of them worked. I think I was telling you that if we hit a contest and someone spoiled it out on the floor, I said this is good for us.
Yeah, you were saying, and I agree with you, but that's such a low standard.
Exactly, proves your point. We shouldn't want that.
No, we shouldn't be going, oh, that could have gone worse, but thank God it went out of bounds. That's not good. That's awful. So many players, I said this last week, we're so willing to pick up the ball and just go to ground and take the ball up. When teams like Collingwood, teams like the Bulldogs, who have elite hand skills, will flick that ball behind their head to someone and they're out. And West Coast did that to us all day. Around the contest, we were so poor.
We said in the third quarter, I don't think we've had an easy chain once. It just didn't
Because those couple of times, like when Steve-O broke on the wing or LD went through the middle a couple of times.
So rare too.
I was just like, oh my God, here we go. But I'm saying that not because we're great, because it's so rare that I can't believe what I'm watching. And my standard for success, I'm refusing to let it drop. I'm not saying everyone who's a North fan's doing that. Everyone can have their own ideals and things like that. But I just think we're accepting mediocrity more than we should be. I agree. Should Ratton have won those couple of games, or should North Melbourne have won those couple of games? Ratton, yes, you could say he's been harshly treated in the past, his other two clubs, but there's a reason why he's not an AFL coach. And there's a reason why he's come back to North, or not back to North, but come to North to be under Clarkson as a part-timer because he doesn't have it. I love that he's a nice guy, and I love that when he came in, Wardlaw was in, and we looked better against the Swans and the Dogs and the Essendon and all those games. And the Saints, that's nice, but we got nothing out of those games, so it's not good enough. It's a results-driven business, and as much as there's been exciting times where it looks to have improved, like after that run in the middle of the season against the Swans and against the Bombers and everything, we thought we'd turned. We thought it had turned. Maybe not always to be winning, but that's the standard. And it went away so quick. Because how we came out of the bye was awful. And it summed it up with that Hawks loss. So why are we playing that bad after doing that well a few weeks before? That Geelong, Adelaide, Hawthorn games, they were some of the worst football I've ever seen played by any team. But a few weeks before the bye, why do we look so much better? And that little chunk of that 2-month period of the season was summed up in this game today, where how can we look so good in individual quarters, but so bad in other ones? It's baffling.
It's a strange one.
So if Ratton can't...
It's a tough one.
Yeah, if Ratton can't get him to play like the second quarter or the fourth quarter every quarter, then he's not good enough. Do I think Clarkson can change it? I don't know.
I was thinking along those lines that, we saw the roll of the dice at the end, but is it the story of the day? It was just too little too late.
Yeah.
Was he not making enough changes? Obviously, we're not in the box. We don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was enough there to get us sort of within a sniff of the win.
Yeah.
But I think, and as an expectation, there's two things from that. So one, it's the bottom two clubs. We expected going in as favourites to get a win. which I know you've got your feelings about because you thought as soon as we were favourites, it was over.
Because it's mental.
It is mental.
It's a mental thing, and this team is the weakest team mentally in the league. And I really like it's so true. You saw it against the Saints last week. You saw it again in the first quarter today. In the third quarter, especially, we did all that work to get back in the game. That the weak mentality. They knew they were going to lose. They knew they were going to lose last week. They knew they were going to lose this week.
I think they had the expectation to win. So when they came out and actually kicked a few on us, that's when it shocked them, and they never really recovered.
Yes, that's kind of what I meant. So, I believe they went into this game thinking they can win it. I believe that.
Yeah.
But it's how quick it goes. Like 10 minutes into a quarter, it'll go completely. I can't remember what game it was. Maybe it was against the Giants where we kicked the first few and we looked all right. And then they got a couple back by quarter time and bang. The rest of the game, we were out of it.
I guess that comes back to knowing where the club is at because I feel like experience is what's capable of leading the comeback.
But not picking a Hugh Greenwood, putting Zeeble as the sub and putting guys like Kane Turner, Lockie Young, all of these guys in the team over those guys is insane. And that's another thing where I'm like, Ratton, pull your head in.
You are talking to Hugh Greenwood's number one fan. He's an All-Australian ruckman, mind you. And I think he was just what was needed today because I've spoken about it, I think, a couple of times now. The chaos ball just seemed to work today, and his balls that he kicks are chaos.
Yeah. Hugh Greenwood, how many times do we see the Eagles run out of a contest or out of the middle with not much pressure on them? Hugh Greenwood would have laid the most tackles on the field today. Yeah. It's honest corruption that he didn't get selected. Like, I know we like Kane Turner for his smothers and everything, but Hugh Greenwood does all of that and is a good footballer. So how are we not putting the most quality on the field possible?
I don't know. I would have liked to see him, but who knows, man?
You said at the start of the season you called Huey in the team for round one, and everyone else was like, "Oh, I don't know." So.
Yeah, and then he took the load on that day too against West Coast the
He
first time.
takes the load nearly every week when he plays.
Should just played as much that first initial team, but played him
because he's someone who can go forward and take a mark. He's someone you can put in the middle. He's a big body. He'll always back into a contest. Like,
I think this goes back to where is the club at? Because if they're just going, we're playing people we see in our future to just get them just live through this toughness now because they're going to gel. They're going to build that consistency and this is going to be better for them in the future. Is that the plan for these selections that I think are troubling you a fair bit because there's been some strange picks?
I just don't I'll believe it when I see it, and that's my basis now. Like, we're in the midst right now of being Melbourne Demons level 10-year plus rebuild. And I know a lot of North fans don't want to hear that, and maybe this is me. If we come out and beat the D's next week, I'll change my tune on that.
Wow.
Which won't happen.
What would it take, though?
No, it's not humanly possible, so don't worry about it. It's like saying to me, hey, mate, jump in the pool and just sit on the bottom and hold your breath for 20 minutes. And if you do it, you'll succeed. Like, not humanly possible.
It's hard to imagine after what we've just watched. That's the issue.
But we've watched it nearly every week.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to think now, games we played well. Okay, first two, did we play well? I would say no, but we ground out those wins, right? The games
it's so long ago. It's like, just like you said, just win.
The only
just
games
win, we'll take them.
that we've played well in, I would say, is the Bombers, the Swans, the Saints.
Not that first Saints though. We were there.
No,
that was
the
horrible.
Saints last week. The first Saints game was horrible. And I'm tossing up the Bulldogs before the bye. We played okay. And maybe the Blues when we were down all our defenders. But those last two, 50-50s for me.
It was the Sydney game that really stuck out.
The Sydney game and the Essendon game. And I'd say the Saints last week. They're the three games I would say we played well.
Which I think I said on the page from the Saints game. A lot wanted to give it to the umpires for that one. But they kicked just a goal in a quarter. That is when you stand up and someone just leads something.
Well, we didn't kick a goal in the third quarter today.
Yeah.
I don't
think it was a single score. I think it was 40.
I think we kicked a point.
Maybe a single point. But
definitely not a goal. So, there's three games in this season that I say we've played well. Other than that, no. There's other ones who played okay, which I would say the first two.
But that's 3 games under Ratton as well?
I know it's under Ratton, but Clarkson is a better coach. Clarkson's the only coach that I believe can come into this club and try and change the mentality.
Well, we've said so much that whatever move he does, we just support it. Like, because we treat him as the Messiah and cannot wait to see him back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited for him to come back. He's not going to do anything by the end of the season. He's shut down everybody. I don't care. If we lose every game for the rest of the year by 100, I don't care. I'm emotionally done. I'm dead inside.
I hope there's a couple 100-point losses. We need Harley Reid.
Well, that's the only hope we've got left.
Let's try and get that number 1 pick.
But then what's going to happen is we'll draft Harley Reid and then we'll start playing all these decent midfielders in our forward line and back line because we don't have any key position players or actual defenders. That's what we've also done, which is something that Brady Rawlings said in the members Q&A that they did through the middle of the week, is they're aware of how small they've drafted and they've only drafted mids for like 5 years in a row. We don't need more midfielders. I would not say no to Harley Reid. I'm not saying don't draft him. But if I'm telling you now, if the AFL grants us Riley Sanders to draft him as our priority pick, do not draft Harley Reid. We do not need 2 more midfielders coming into this team.
I guess this goes back to how well draft knowledge is. I just love playing around with the name Harley Reid, and it's good content because
it's great.
It's fun to think about just tank for the best player.
I understand.
But I think the priority pick and potential compensation pick, if Harry/Ben wants to go for a little walk, that's a big conversation to have later when we see what the hand is dealt.
Do I think the AFL will give it to us? No. Do I think we will get something? Yes. But I don't. The AFL doesn't care about North Melbourne, man.
All right, well, maybe. We need to pivot to what we do care about.
Yes,
the players from today.
All right. Do you want to talk about some individuals?
I think we should talk about who we liked. Who did we like from today?
Let me go to the AFL app.
I think to start off, I think we're both very big on Bailey Scott.
Yes, Bailey Scott, another solid game. And when I'm saying as solid as you can be in a poor performance.
I like seeing the ball in his hands when he's delivering it.
I trust he will dispose of the ball correctly.
I think he missed Larky a couple of times, but I like seeing him on that wing.
Larky did have a yell at him for not putting it on his chest.
That was to him.
That was to him. The other one I wanted to point out quickly before we get into the players and be more positive was when Lockie Young took that mark in the back, half-back flank area, and he was looking to pass to somebody, and you could see how visibly angry he was that no one was presenting. And
no one was presenting in that game. In so many crucial points, no one was presenting.
Anyway, that's enough.
And all it takes is, you might lead out there. You don't have to kick it to that lead, but you're opening up space for someone else. And that's what's crucial.
Absolutely. Bailey Scott, every time, we're just being around every contest, running past to receive the handballs. He's a good user of the football. Like, we're very lucky to have a player of his caliber on this team. So I thought he was great today.
Do you think he's probably most improved in the team this year?
No, I'd probably say Larky is the most improved. Going from, I think he kicked 40 goals last year and he's already hit 50.
Yeah.
But
I would say Bailey Scott.
Bailey was also in our top 3 in the best and fairest last year, though.
Yeah.
But I think he has made a massive improvement. Yes. I would say he's one of them.
I think he's made himself very important.
Oh, he's crucial. He's absolutely crucial. Without him running past the contest, we have no drive. Like, Taryn can do it sometimes. Stevenson can do it sometimes. LDU can do it. Other than that, there's no one to push this team forward. So Sheezer's not that guy. Sheezer will link up and have clean disposal, be able to pass, but he's not going to be the one breaking any lines and running forwards. So Bailey Scott's crucial. LDU, let's talk about him. Good, but there was moments where I think he could have done more.
He was very good. I think we get excited when we see him. He's so powerful charging through. In my mind, he got caught a couple of times today.
Yeah.
But that's very forgivable because
someone's got to take the game on.
He takes the game on, and even just the meters gained from him alone, it's so crucial. And he kicked that goal, but I want to give that goal to Sheasel because that ball that he centered with that vision, I think, was that before or after his...
After.
So you got to think about his last quarter at Sheasel. He's centered that into LDU.
Well, he's kicked it over his head.
He's kicked it over his head, and we both screamed thinking that was in. And then he's done the snap, which I want to get a couple more eyes on because...
This is very Tom Lynch last year in the finals sort of stuff. I mean, we'll never know the answer to it.
Can we just get like kilometre tall poles just to once and for all so we know for good?
They should just like have a little laser or something pointing up, and if it breaks the beam or something like that.
Just take all the human interpretation out of it at all. Like all of it.
Yeah,
let's just go all computers, just 100% science. Just get no decision making in it.
We would
at
have
all.
so many points. It would be awful to watch.
But that one there, like, that the one he just skied with that snap.
Let's talk about some, like, I think there's obvious good players like Sheasel, David Gignac, Scott, some lesser players. I thought Curtis Taylor was good again. Once again, not one of the best on the ground, but I think him and Eddie Ford competing in contests is good. And I think that they bring a little bit of a presence around that half forward line. Eddie Ford will jump into any contest and crash a pack. And Curtis Taylor, maybe not crashing a pack as much, but he seems to have a way to wriggle out of situations and take a mark or use his body well.
Yeah, I think Curtis Taylor did his job. We saw a bit of him. You have to look at how many touches because, sometimes... I think I said against, I think it was against Hawthorn.
Curtis Taylor had 14 touches.
Yeah, because I remember against Hawthorn, I thought he had 20, he had 5, but it was just like a clean run of getting a couple.
When he's around the ball, I sort of feel a bit better about things now, which is weird after his first half of the season.
Well, this is what it's about, isn't it? I think it's what pieces are staying. And I think this is why the club is teething with these are the parts that are important to us and these are the parts we need to work on getting. It's your Curtis Taylors and your Eddie Fords. We say, okay, I'm pretty happy to give them their spot for the next few years and just watch them grow.
Yeah. Here's a stat for you that I've just read. That how many possessions do you reckon Taron Thomas had today?
See, in my mind, I thought he had a fair bit of it, but
just give me what you think it'll be.
I'm going to say 20.
10.
That is crazy.
Unless the app's wrong for some reason, he only had 10 touches today. I thought he was a lot better than that.
Shows you what happens when it's a very like centered on camera touch where he's trying to break a pack or
I've literally just looking down the list here and it says 10. I can't believe it's 10. I felt like he did a lot more. Like Tristan Xerri had more touches than him.
Yeah, the 2 goals too. Do we need to have a conversation about him here?
I mean, do I think Xerri's a good ruckman? No. Do I think he's a good forward? I mean, in an isolated game today, he did okay.
Had a great day.
He didn't have a great day. I say, do you remember anything around the ground that he did or just those 2 goals?
I thought his hit-outs were okay. Definitely. I mean, obviously, Goldie is the man there.
Yeah.
But
Goldie even got monstered by that. Who's their ruckman? I've never heard of him before, but... No, don't know.
No, and that's just because, I mean, why would we ever pay attention to
who cares about West Coast? Yeah. It's Rich coming from right now.
They're thinking about.
They're probably thinking, who's that other ruckman that pushed forward a couple of times and kicked some goals? No, look, Xerri's improved slightly, but I don't think
comparing it to his standard, that's what it was. This was a good game for him.
Yes, but this is the Aiden Corr stand. This is the Aiden Corr paradox. Okay, the Aiden Corr paradox is the bar's set so low that if you do anything above that, you've had a good game. And this is what I think about Jack Zeeble. Jack Zeeble has had a great season. He was a little bit, and he set the bar high early. First half of the season, I think we can all agree he'd be top 3 best and fairest, especially at the start of the year, the first 2 months. Right, he was intercepting everything. He was leading. When North started playing this year, coming out of our back line, we were chipping it around up the field and linking up together. And that's gone now for some reason. But Zeeble was always leading that. Then Zeeble has a few bad games, which weren't even that bad. He just kicked the ball out of bounds a couple of times.
And sadly, that's the stuff that sticks,
other than the 2 out of bounds against Essendon, I don't think he's really done much wrong. I really, really don't. And I've watched all these games. How I've done that, I don't know.
I think the other
but
boys
you know what
on
I'm
the
trying to
page
say
will
with
agree.
The paradox thing where it's like Zeeble has a couple of bad games and we think Zeeble's washed, he's done, and now we think Corr and Xerri are good when they're just playing better or Zeeble's playing worse than how or how high the bar was set or how low the bar was set.
Mm.
You know, Zeeble had a better game today than Jerry because every time Zeeble was around the ball, he did something. He hit every target he kicked to. He might have only had 3-4 touches, but he was
composed in the last quarter.
Yes.
And we saw him just dash through the middle when he had no men on the mark.
Absolutely.
That's where experience kicks in.
Yeah. Every other player would have stood there and be like, where do I kick the ball? And they'll wait for 30 seconds and kick it long down the line.
Which is what I thought West Coast were going to be today.
Yeah. But they were. We enabled them to be good with our lack of pressure around the contest.
That is true.
Anyway, we were being positive.
You're on Corr. We were talking about Corr.
I think Corr had an okay game.
Yeah.
He was fine. He's been fine for a few weeks in a row now. Last week he was good.
Was Corr the one that did that tackle that just deleted the guy off screen?
Yes, it was.
That was so funny. The ball just stayed.
404 error on that player.
And the ball just hovered, but the man was just taken out.
Because he wasn't in frame. You just see bang. And look, Corr's been fine. I'm not saying Corr's like
he had the one-armed mark as well today too.
He did have a one-handed mark. I think Corr in the last 2 weeks have been fine.
Yeah.
But once again, it's the season as a whole. Because we've seen with the team's form, we can play good and then we'll show up next week and be awful. If Corr does this for the rest of his days at North Melbourne, in a few years' time, I'll be like, Corr's good.
Yeah.
But he's been so bad for so long that 3 good games doesn't change my mind. I know I commented on a post that someone posted and said 3 good games and I'll believe it. I lied. Like, Corr's been better now, but he's raised the bar.
Every time it's like 3. Okay, I'm now 5.
It's actually 5.
So it gives you 5.
Yeah.
How about 10?
He's raised the bar for his minimum performance now, though. I don't expect Corr now to show up and be just an absolute shambles like he was every other game this season. But did he change the game today? No, but I thought he was probably the best defender. So
yeah. I feel like...
Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it does.
People always... Obviously, people know...
It's a standards thing.
Yeah,
so you're
people
saying
know that I go after Aiden Corr all the time. And I think people listening might just be like, I thought he was really good today, but Josh just hates Aiden Corr. And that's not the case. I'm just trying to set a level of expectation for every player every week.
What you're saying is that when a bad player has a couple of good games, they're still not as good as a good player that has a couple of bad games.
100%. That's the best way to sum it up.
When Zeebel's dropping, he's still not as bad as Corr at his best. That's what you're trying to say.
Not the last few weeks because Corr has been good the last few weeks, but every time before that, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And anyway. I think we're going to, we'll try and stay positive with.
Yes.
Corr did good things.
No, Corr was solid enough today. Why do you think Corr's better without Logan, the team?
I couldn't tell you. Maybe that is the paradox itself. Because, we obviously need Logue.
We absolutely need
couldn't
Logue.
be clearer.
We won't have him until about this time next year, but...
It's really that grim, isn't it?
It is that grim. That's our compensation, our priority pick thing from last year is gone now.
It has to be that Corr has just stepped up. And that's as simple as it goes. He says, there's someone that's missing in the team. They're an important part. Someone's got to fill those shoes and... Corr has stepped up.
Yes, I agree.
To some degree.
Corr's been better. He's been better, but this is the standard he should be playing at every week. For the amount of money he's on, he should be playing better than that every week with the money he's on. But at least he's not a negative in this team for the last 3 weeks. If anything, he has been a positive. So there's some Aiden Corr praise for everybody out there who's been waiting. Just to touch on the Tristan Xerri thing, once again, he's a guy that I don't really think is great. I'm glad he was better last week and today. I think he's improved from his atrocious games after the bye. But I don't know. Goldie's still the best ruckman and Corr didn't take any... Corr? Who are we talking about? Tristan Xerri.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're the same player to me. Tristan Xerri didn't take any contested marks. Tristan Xerri, I don't think his ruck work's great. If he comes back next year and is the best ruckman in the league, then I'll tell everybody that I was wrong. But he was better today. A good couple of goals. Clearly a decent
2 goals
kick.
makes a good case.
So at least knowing that he might be able to push forward in spells, if he could be a better ruckman, that's handy for the future. But, I need much, much more from Tristan Xerri still. But a better game today.
it plays on a part that really pained us today, and that was kicking to the contest. Like, even if he's taking contested marks, it's just not the team.
This is what
it's not
Coleman
the
Jones
team
offered.
for kicking to contests.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
We need
Coleman Jones
yeah.
was awful for the last month, but, you know, he made a presence against the Swans and all that sort of stuff, especially being able to kick to a contest and him actually do something. And the week before he got concussed, he wasn't clunking them and it wasn't good enough, but he was at least there. He was so close to taking like 3 or 4 big marks in contests, and we haven't had that outlet. There was one today where Jerry did crash a pack, but he didn't mark the ball still. So we desperately, desperately need that someone exactly like an Oscar Allen to pair with Larkey, because that's the player we're missing. We clearly need to go to kicking it long down the line so often. We need a big guy like that who can mark the ball. I think Coleman Jones could be that, but sort of like a Jerry and a Corr, Coleman Jones is my guy. I said that weeks ago, but I'm holding him to the same standard where he now has to set a precedent for his level in the team. He needs to be taking 3 or 4 contested marks a week, you know, a goal or 2, and be chopping out in the ruck. And if he's not doing that, then drop him. But I don't know. We missed a guy like that today.
See, I'm big on, I think this team, whatever it is in the future, keep them together and let them gel. Because even then, just the dropping to the VFL, I know it's an integral part of the sport. But what they will get out of just building that consistency with each other is just only going to make them better in the future.
I do agree, but do we have... I don't think we need... There's certain players I would keep as a core, and there are other ones that I would be binning off very, very quickly. Because I don't believe if this core stays together, like say this... Yeah, the 25 most played players this season, whoever they are, I don't believe that team has enough potential or skills to ever be able to be good enough. So that's why we need to have a lot of turnover. Clarkson's going to make so many harsh cuttings this offseason. Everyone mentally prepare for a player that we like to go, because he knows...
Please save Hugh Greenwood.
No, I don't think Hugh Greenwood's going to play at North next year. Yeah. Should he? Absolutely, 100%. But it seems to be that way. Clarkson is going to make some incredibly harsh calls, I believe anyway, of players that we like. If Curtis Taylor goes, I wouldn't be surprised. You know what I mean? Because
I feel like...
I don't think he deserves that.
I think admin too. I think he said something along the similar lines. There's going to be a spanner that's going to shock you.
There needs to be. We need to get players who are rotting out of the club. Not potential-wise or not ability-wise. They're fine. But you need players who come in and can win and can impact and do something, instead of like having guys that are passengers but then will show up for a quarter or 2 max. And we've got a lot of those guys. This team right now on the park does not have the potential to be anywhere near the finals.
That is a sad line. It's just funny because we discussed before the podcast, like you said, you're going to need to bring the happiness
here. I know,
here.
I'm so sorry.
And then to hear that line there, I was like, oh no, no matter what the path was, we found the bottom.
We just can't.
We found our way to just the depressing stuff.
Everyone,
it's hard. It's really hard.
If you've listened to this podcast and I'm making you upset, go straight over to North Melbourne, close to a flag, and be happy again. And maybe, please come back to me after.
Maybe send Josh some essential oils or something.
Yes, I need some Epsom salts stat. That's what I need. But I honestly believe that's true, and I think, you know, can Curtis Taylor be better than this? He's played really well since he's come back in the team, and I want him to be better. But can he?
There's only so much of the ball to go around.
I agree.
I think it's about them finding their roles and who's best for it. And I think we're learning each week.
Yeah,
I think, because what we're seeing is a few of them are stringing together some good games, but they're all in isolation. Yeah. So you're having a Paul Curtis marquee game today, and you know you've got Sheasel, who I think did incredible. He's doing incredible things every week.
The guys should.
We just
even pre-ACL to Ashcroft should absolutely have been the rising star. The AFL wanted to give it to Ashcroft so bad, and now they can't. I love that.
I think on the Ashcroft thing, start of the year, I just thought Sheasel was the standout, and then Ashcroft had those 4 games in the middle where he just dominated.
Yeah, but if you plug Sheasel into a premiership level midfield, he does the same thing.
Yeah, I think with Sheasel, you're used to consistency.
Yeah.
Whereas Ashcroft was doing like the glamorous goals and stuff, and you know that's what they want to see.
That's what they want to see, absolutely.
But we'll see now with the rising star. I mean, they've got a tough decision, because are you going to take it off a guy because he did his ACL?
Yeah, he's not going to play 6 games. So you can't. If Ashcroft was ahead, which I don't believe he was, Shizu can't play 6 more games and perform like he performed today and not get it. It's absolute corruption. I'd be checking Gil McLaughlin's sports bet account if Shizu doesn't get the rising star from here.
He's on the way out anyway. You may as well just load up on
whatever
points
that
bet.
new bloke is called. I don't know. Like, not to keep being negative, but I don't know. I guess summing up my point with the team right now doesn't have good enough players. Like at the top, I think we've got Wardlaws, Sheezels, LDU, Larkey, Bailey Scott, those sort of guys. Bill Phillips was very poor today, but I think he's in that category too. Taron Thomas, Paul Curtis, even though he's had more bad games than good, but he can get there. You know those guys have a great potential. But how good of a player do you think Curtis Taylor can be? How good of a player do you think Jaden Stevenson can be? How good of a player do you think Lockie Young can be? Kane Turner can be? Daniel Howe can be? I think they may have peaked. Maybe not Stevenson and Curtis Taylor. Maybe they've got another level to go to. I think if you plug Jaden Stevenson into Collingwood, he's kicks 35, 40 a year. But he's not going to be great until we're better.
Yeah, he's spoken about this too. I think he said
I saw
just how harsh it is when a team's doing bad and like you might do something that he said he was just hanging out with friends at Collingwood and they'd be like, oh yeah, that's good for you, Jaden. But at North, you see him hanging out with friends. It's like, come on, mate, what are you doing? You need to go work harder. It's just it's a hard place they're in, and I'm a big believer that there's nothing that we can think or say that the players haven't already thought themselves.
I agree as well. They're fully aware, but they don't have the ability to change it.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like
that's what's been hard about this because at least I think if we're saying things that they're ironically funny because like we know a lot of the things that we say are just when we're putting the house on LDU for the Brownlow, like this is all out of just the good faith in the club, and we want to make sure we're bringing this excitement. I agree. I want to. The players are they're in a tough spot, and I can't imagine any of them. Yeah, having a moment to themselves where they're everything's fine and dandy.
That's the name of the game in this industry. So like a Curtis Taylor as an example. He's a good example because he's played well, and I've liked his last 3 games. I think he's done really well since he's come back in. But if we were making the finals, does Curtis Taylor get in our team? Probably not.
I think we're yet to see a guy like that.
I understand. I'm not saying he can't do it, but
it's the cop-out answer. It is.
Yeah, I'm not saying he can't do it, but I don't know a better way to explain my point here, which is there's a lot of these guys that we go, but look what he did that one time. Look what he did this. Clarkson knows who's not good enough. And there's going to be some harsh ones that the fans are like, no, Curtis Taylor could have been more. Or I'm not trying to name Curtis Taylor because I think he has been very good the last 3 weeks. So I'm not saying Curtis Taylor should be dropped from the team or anything. But I'm just using it as an example that there's going to be guys in this team that we think have potential that have not done it in the 3-4 years they've been here. And Clarkson's going to be like, you're out the door, and he's going to bring in heaps of people. And I'm actually genuinely excited for what I hope is a massive culling of this list and just so many new players to come in.
I think it's a sad thing to think about. This is a personal thing for me. I get wrapped up in contracts and careers, and this is their livelihood, and we just get to comment on it and go do a 9 to 5. It's a real it's real hard to think about.
They're more successful than I'll ever be in my entire life. Kane Turner's more famous than I'll ever be. You know what I mean? As he should be. But I don't know. I'm not. This isn't coming from a negative place at all. I mean, there's players in this team we love, and if we make the finals and we've culled the list and we've got all these new players playing, we're not going to care about those players who got culled anymore. Because what we wanted, we're North Melbourne fans. We're not individual player fans. So
I'm a Hugh Greenwood fan, but
I know you're a Hugh Greenwood fan.
I just cut off every point there is. But no, I hear you. And I think what you're saying is you just want to see things happen. You just want to see movement and say, okay, this result,
big change.
It sucks. 17 losses. You're saying someone's got to pay.
Someone's got to pay.
You want to see the Messiah that is Clarko come in and do things.
Sweep the floor and get rid of so much, even that we think will be harsh, because it's like I said, I really believe it's a mentality thing. I really, really believe it. Like, I wouldn't blame Cam Zerha for 1 second being in this team for as long as he has, losing that many games and getting to the last quarter and being like, we're not winning this. Like, how can you blame a player for doing that when
it's learning, isn't it? Because,
I don't think you can teach.
You have a behavior like that for so long.
That's like
it's
trying to teach
real
someone
hard
that
to
the
bounce
sky's
back.
pink.
It's hard to bounce back from.
Yeah, like if you've seen this for years and years and years and years and years on end, I don't blame any player for being negative when we get down. But that's what's not good enough, and that's the stuff we have to clean out harshly. Will some of those players that we do clean out go to other clubs and be great? Probably. Look what Ryan Clark's doing at Sydney.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're bad.
It doesn't mean they're bad players.
It wasn't a fit for them.
It's not working. And we want it to work with this group of players. I would love this team to all hit what we think their potential are, and then we'd be making the finals. But they're not going to do that. Otherwise, we'd be better than losing to West Coast, and just being 17 losses on the trot. So I'm not saying, I'm excited to see people's careers go. I'm just saying I'm excited for a big clean out and change because we need it so desperately. And that does excite me for next season. It'll take a few years. Like someone asked me at the barbershop, they go, when do you think North will be competing for finals again? And at the start of this year, I said 2025. That's when we need to get there. No chance in God's green earth that happens now. If we make the finals before Clarkson's contract ends, that will be a miracle. I don't think that's a negative thing to say. I think it's a realistic thing to say because do I think we'll get there one day? Absolutely. Wardlaw will carry it. Sheasel will carry it. Larky's an absolute warrior and should be captain. And I think we're building something, but it's not as close as many people think. It's a lot further away. Doesn't mean it's never going to get there. No, I think we will get there. We've got too many young players like the ones I named before that can be great, but there's probably only 10 guys on this team that I think will be there when we make the finals again.
Yeah, 10's a real low number in that capacity.
If that.
Well, one thing, like to try and provide a saving grace, I do feel like teams turn it around a lot quicker now. I think, you've got the 17th place Collingwood making finals the next year. And now
Collingwood were a lot worse than they should have been though, but we're exactly where we should be.
Yeah.
That's the one difference I'd say.
I think we're seeing now it used to be, it was a guaranteed 5-year turnaround. Yeah. But then there's clubs just hover and then some just have
What do you honestly think then? If I said, when do you think we'll make the finals again? Honestly, when do you think we'll do that?
I think 2025 because
2 years.
I think next year, all that matters is next year has to be consistent the whole way through. We need Taron Thomas to keep his feet on the driver's pedal and not foot on the dashboard. And
it's injuries as well.
We need Clarko to give a full season. We need all these things to just stay consistent so they can gel.
Yeah.
And then they get a good preseason under them. They're a bunch of young guys. That's when the charge comes soon after.
Do you think in 2 years' time we're going to be making the finals with a fairly similar team than this?
Probably, I don't know.
You're allowed to say no.
I want to.
It's not negative. It's not a negative. It's not coming from a negative place. I think it's a realistic place of just being like, I think from what I thought a couple of years ago of this team, or even at the start of this year, from what I thought certain players would be or how we'd play, we're nowhere near it. And it's just like, I think now I realise we need massive, massive change to turn the culture of the club around. Do I think we've got foundation in place to do it? Yep. Back office staff. We love Jen. We love Sonia. Love Clarko. Todd Viney's a brilliant speaker and can, save the club from being attacked from all angles. And do we have those 10 guys I think can be really, really good in a finals, arguably premiership contending team? Yes. But there's so much junk after that. It's like the Hawks. The Hawks is an example. I don't think there's any passengers on the Hawks. I don't think they've got the talent we've got. I don't think they've got a player as talented as Wardlaw, as Sheezel, as Larky, as Taron, as Bailey Scott, as any of those guys. I don't think they do. But what they bring is 6 to 7 out of 10 every week, and there's no passengers. And that will win you more games than having talent at the moment. So we've got the talent. We need to build a core or a group or a foundation of players that know they can win. And those guys will be the icing on top that we've already got.
Yeah, it's hard to know you can win when
Yeah.
17.
17 in a row.
One more and they can legally drive.
My God.
Give us 18. No.
We'll see you at the SP soon enough.
It is Melbourne, isn't it, next week?
It's the D's down in Tassie next week.
Oh, wow. Tassie, which has been just horrendous for us this year. So,
yeah.
Blundstone Arena, terrible food.
I'm
Terrible time for everyone.
I'm going to point out a couple of players. Look, I don't want to be negative, and so I'm not going to dive in on any of these guys, but I'm just going to have a chat about, we've talked about a few we thought were good. There was obviously a lot more that were bad, but just a couple of players to touch on.
Am I guessing touches again?
Don't
make me do that.
No, not guessing touches. Just maybe a quick what we thought of their game today. Robert Hansen Jr.
Didn't see much, but, debuts often go this way.
Yeah, a debut, a very lackluster debut. Don't blame him, though. First game, awful performance from the team. Small forwards need to play off good players, I think.
Small forwards are stitched up right from the get-go.
When you get it, especially when you're just bombing that thing in that long to a guy's 4'10".
Everyone's expecting your Cyril Rioli type goals.
Yeah.
But you spend most of the game just sitting there waiting. Yeah. So it's a tough one to be in.
Goda, I
he
think
came off for a while, so it's hard to judge.
Yeah, hard to
judge. We don't
judge.
know how bad the injury was.
No, that's true. Luke McDonald only had 5 touches, but I didn't think Luke McDonald was bad today. I don't think Luke McDonald's been bad for a while. I don't think he's been great, but only 5 touches, surprising. There's so many players we've got here under 10 touches.
Yeah. And that was when they just couldn't get a hold of it for those 2 quarters they got wrecked.
Yeah. Jaden Stevenson, I guess, is another one.
Well, when I said to you, do you think he's had, we hadn't looked at the stats. We said, do you think Steve-O's had above or less 5 touches? And it was 5 exactly at that point. I think that was before that beautiful run he did on the wing.
Setting up Larky for the goal, yeah.
Which is what he's in there to do, which, that matters more than... Yeah.
Jaden Steve, he got 8 touches today. This is the thing. If you have 8 touches, you need at least 2 goals, I think, from the position he plays. I think Steve-O, his work rate is great. The amount of times that he was down the half back line trying to do something there is fantastic. And I don't think he's droppable because there's nobody to bring in. But I don't know. I'd like him to impact the scoreboard a little bit more. His first half of the year was fantastic. I think.
I was surprised because, as we know, he's the Optus. He's Optus Steve-O.
Optus King.
So
yeah, absolutely. Optus Steve-O.
Today was the game that I was, To be in front of your home fans like that.
Is he from Western Australia?
No. He owns the stadium. So
you got me for a second there. No. I was like, oh my God, no idea.
I don't know where any player is from. I never pay attention to that kind of thing.
The only
I just
other
know
player,
that Jason Horne-Fraser is from Adelaide.
I'm getting choked up. The 2 players, the last 2 I'll mention who I think maybe should have done better. Lachie Young, I think he was pretty poor. And for some reason, he was the one seeming to mark Jack Darling all the time. We made Jack Darling look like prime Jono Brown, which was concerning.
And he took a kick in weirdly. I don't know what their plan was for him.
He stepped LDU in the midfield.
I don't know.
He won a centre clearance off the ground.
What their plan was for him going in, I don't know, but it worked, man.
Yeah.
It shouldn't work, but it did.
So I'm very confused because Lachie, one side, I don't blame Lachie Young for not being able to spoil a mark when Jack Darling is his direct opponent. But
who's twice his size.
Yeah, I just don't think Lachie Young brings anything to the team. And the fact Miller Bergman's not playing and he is, once again, is Hugh Greenwood levels of plagiarism.
It's blasphemy.
It's blasphemy. Last guy maybe to talk about is Jai Simpkin. Now, stats suggest he had a good game. 20 touches, 10 kicks, 10 handballs. But I just think he didn't impact.
It's wild to me because, if you told me that, I would think that Taron Thomas and Jai Simpkin's stats swapped.
Reversed. Yep.
Yeah.
100%. He did little things that were good. And yes, he's coming back off a couple of concussions. I like Jai Simpkin. I think he's got potential. But he's someone maybe this year I've been disappointed in. I don't think he's taken a step. I don't think he's any better than he was last year. So I think that's something I'd be looking for him, especially just signing a 5-year deal. I think in 3 years' time, if he's not improved from the level he is now, I'd be worried. But I believe he can do it. I'm not saying he can't.
Yeah. I think he's had a lot of good this year. And I think with his run, I think this was a struggle today.
I'm not saying he's been bad. I'm just saying he's not taken a step.
Because I think it is recency just looking at that, because in a whole, we know what he can do.
Yeah, I'd like him to impact games more though, I think. Like,
we just didn't. I think we just didn't see it today. I think it's just.
I know, but
it's really hard to look back and think about the good old times, which
I don't think he's been here for any good time.
Yeah, I'm just thinking good old times is anything pre-17 game loss, pretty much.
Well, so last year was good times.
Fuck me.
yeah. Or the year before,
What are we doing here?
So really quickly, we didn't win any counts of anything. I'm just looking at the team stats. They got more disposals, more kicks, more handballs, more inside 50s, more disposal efficiency. We won the efficiency inside 50 by 1%.
That's a draw.
Yeah, which is a draw. We got more free kicks. We got more hit outs. We got more clearances. We got more centre clearances. We got more stoppage clearances.
You got a Kane Turner Smothers on there somewhere, or
no? Absolutely not.
Yeah, that sums up the day, isn't it?
Yeah, but so it says here we dominated out of the middle, or we dominated around the contest, but it didn't feel like it at all, did it? Because the times we won the ball, we kicked blindly, and it just went straight back over our heads, and they would just run through the midfield, linking up in handballs. Like, possessions-wise, they got more contested, uncontested possessions. We had 17 more turnovers than them, which is a massive number.
I think that's the biggest case there for Ratton.
Yeah.
You know, he's not the one out there making those shocking mistakes.
And you can see here on the marks, they had 102 marks. We had 66.
Yeah.
If that's not, we just sent the ball long all day.
Well, I think that's what I said to you. I was like, can we just, now I don't know how exhausted they get out there in the West, but could they not just try the switch just a couple more times? Like, retain the ball, control it, get a bit of confidence on it, and then push forward. You know, it was so much kicking to a contest, spoil outside, and then it's, 50-50 who gets it from there.
You can see last week, Ratton set them a goal for 80 tackles, and we got 88 tackles or something last week. We got 67 this week.
Yeah. They were free to run wherever they wanted.
Yeah, we couldn't do anything. But the worst one, tackles inside the forward 50. 26-5. 26-5 tackles inside the forward 50. That's just...
Yeah, we saw that first quarter. I think they got like an easy handball out and a snap, and there was just no one around to stop it. And we just thought like those are the ones you've got to shut down.
I'm looking here. Dave LDU got 8 clearances. Goldie got 8. Simkin got 6 apparently. But yeah, other than that, there's really not. It's a fairly even contribution across the board, but we're talking like 1s and 2s. Darcy Tucker, that's a player maybe to chat about. I think he was pretty neutral all day, but apparently 6 inside 50s, which is interesting.
I liked him. I swear I want to say that the 6 came in the last 10 minutes. He was doing
probably
he was doing
a good
heaps.
last quarter, yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, can we just see it for a bit more?
Bailey Scott,
just get a bit more of it.
Aiden Corr, 535 metres gained.
I mean,
my word.
Is he the best backman in the competition? Maybe.
I think Darcy Moore needs to step aside.
He's got his own paradox. Yeah. That was the stat, wasn't it? What had he done that was better than Darcy Moore? He held his opponent to.
I haven't heard this.
Oh, we had one that we definitely posted. It was one of the others put it up. He had actually outperformed Darcy Moore in a certain stat.
Unreal. Maybe
we'll have to put that one in the show notes.
Yes, absolutely.
If someone made it this far, but
I think we just need more Aiden Corr chat in general.
Yeah.
I was lying. Don't say yes to that.
I feel like he might be like your Sean Atley kind of club champ one day. He is that kind of guy.
That's terrible.
He's as a quiet achiever of 250 games. If he can actually stay, can we turn this 3 game sort of okay form into 250?
I'm excited for the day we say Aiden Corr's had 500 plus meters gained. That was a poor performance. This will be like LeBron James drops 20 and we're like, he was bad.
Yeah. That's the paradox, isn't it? You compared to your own standard.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Have you got any more points you'd like to talk about with the game? I feel like we've been negative. We've tried to throw in some positive as much as humanly possible. I've yelled a little bit.
Yeah.
You've kept me under control and swerved when I was on a rant and you've swerved, which I appreciate. Is there anything else from the game?
No, I definitely just think the feeling is that was the one for us and we all penciled it in.
Yeah.
And the matchup's coming soon. It's just just to go play Melbourne. That is so frightening. But I think that's where they're at right now. It's what you see. It's like the team dips when they're playing someone that they probably maybe should
mentality
be.
thing.
And then they take it to the teams where they just got no right
This
to
is the
actually
thing. It's
compete
like,
with.
Do they believe they can win the game? Do they say they do I really believe they think they can win? No. Do I think they say that? Yes. But I don't know if I believe if Simpkin goes up and goes, we're going to every game trying to win. Yeah, we know, mate. Like, but give us something that's more than a press conference answer, you know?
Yeah. Well, we have heard from, someone in the club that they're just working 10 times harder than any other clubs just because of the position they're in.
Yeah.
But I think I said this to you before, just about the podcast in general, that the feeling right now is that if you're investing right now, the payoff will be huge when this hopefully builds to something amazing. But
well, that's the thing,
it's
isn't it?
hard to see right now, but you're buying real low right now and those stocks are going to rise.
Yeah.
We just hope sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And
I think
we're grateful, I think, to the people that listen on the comment
Absolutely.
and the ones that share their thoughts and they at least say, at least we've got this community.
Well,
because
that's true.
it's hard times and it's hopefully all up from here.
I'd say from next season onwards, I'd say there's some big losses to come. But from 2024,
yes, because the next
we're going to traject upwards if we can have consistency with our coaching and our injuries. I think we will be better next year, but we need to recruit and draft well. I think the other thing to say is I would have been so out and probably bailed on this podcast by now if it wasn't for the whole Bay 29 thing as well.
Yeah.
And it was a good experience as bad as the Hawthorn game was. It was a good experience having multiple people come up to us when we were sitting at the game saying, a similar thing where this is the reason they turn up to games and this is the reason that they're still hopeful and still get around the club.
Do you know what it is? Suffer together.
Trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding. That was the phrase of your last podcast, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding with Big Ant.
Yeah. So that's how it goes.
Yeah, sorry, I have to clear my throat. I'm getting all choked up. We're getting emotional at the end of the podcast. I'm starting to get a bit teary.
Starting to get dreamy about the future. I'm just trying
I think
to
about
live
those
there.
Wardlaw Brownlow votes next year, and I start to get a bit hot and heavy, to be honest with you. But
as if Shees isn't stealing them all off him first.
Absolutely. I did get excited through the week thinking that one day our midfield is LDU, Wardlaw and Phillips. I think that could be very exciting. One day.
The best is yet to come. Maybe that's the way to
You're so positive. You're like an angel. It's unbelievable. The shiniest angel of all.
It's real hard to hold on to
You
that.
feel?
But
I need to clear my throat. So you feel. Just talk about North Melbourne.
Well, if we all watched what we watched today, we know that was hard. But we never know what's in the future.
All right, Sean Atley Club champ.
I want to give it to. We were talking about this before that I feel like Bailey Scott just deserves more because LDU and Shees, they've got their standards, but Bailey Scott today elevated.
Okay, well, for 3 votes, I'm giving Sheasel.
Yeah, I think he was a star.
For 2 votes, I'm giving it for the Paul Curtis quarter. I think a spark like that is very, very valuable. And for the 1 vote, we need to discuss LDU, Bailey, or I did put Aiden Corr down here to give him a little bit of credit, but I'd say he's probably the weakest out of the 3.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to 250 gamer Aiden Corr, but I feel like I'm just going to go Bailey Scott because LDU 30 touches and a goal. That's amazing. I think Bailey Scott was contributing a lot today, and I would rather give him the vote than an LDU performance. It's hard, isn't it? Because you just want to give both a vote. I would say I'm going Bailey Scott.
Should I just give both a vote?
I mean, I don't know if you can have anyone.
Compromise the integrity of the Sean Atley Club champ?
Wouldn't be. What did the English say? It was not in good spirit, is it? No.
The whinging
times. I don't reckon you can go. I reckon you got to pick LDU or Scott.
No, well, if you want Bailey, I'll give you Bailey. I'm torn. I think Bailey Scott.
Don't feel that you just got to look after the guest here. I think.
Oh, I've absolutely got to look after the guest. No, I'll give it to Bailey Scott. Oh,
but that's the thing. If LDU gets Brownlow votes in this game, if they give it to
the Sean United Club Champ's not about the best play on the ground. Sometimes
about spirit.
I think it's about spirit and how you impacted the game. That's why I think if it's Brownlow votes, it does go Sheasel, LDU, Bailey Scott. But Paul Curtis's quarter, Sheasel's last quarter gave us something, and Bailey Scott all day, I think, was really crucial to driving us forward. LDU was as well. I'm not saying he wasn't good, but yeah, I think 3 Sheasel, 2 Curtis, 1 Bailey Scott.
I like that.
All right.
Pencil it in.
Pencil that in. Let's have a little round review. Let's see who. There's a lot of upsets this week in the AFL.
So there's a big upset just then. I can't believe West Coast able to get over the powerhouse that's North.
What a massive upset.
It is the upset. We're going to put it on that. It's the upset round. That's the only reason we lost today.
That was. If Clarko came back 1 week earlier, it would have been fine to get that new coach bounce.
No, we need him back against Richmond. That's the one we want to tactically bring the coach back in for.
That's true. Who do you reckon is going to be our coach against Richmond? Because we've got to bring in a pretend new coach.
What's Noble doing? Is he free? No, is he still at... No, I was going to say, is he still at Holden?
Did you say Ross Noble? Or David?
No, David Noble.
You said Ross Noble.
No, I said, what do we think about Noble?
Oh, you
what's
said,
he doing? What's he
Ross
doing?
Noble? I was like, yeah, we'll chuck him in if you want to.
No.
Still be not as funny as how bad we play. Less of a comedy show than our freaking defence. Collingwood Carlton, big upset. Carlton keep in touch with the 8. Well,
crazy.
I think they're in there, which is wild. Their season has been like our game today, where they started hot, or they started bad, they were good, they were bad, they were good. Probably the other way around. Carlton started good, were bad, now good. But what I'm saying is inconsistent.
I think they're up 10 spots in 3 weeks, which is just madness.
Yeah, I think you're totally right.
But was there a game this week that wasn't an upset?
Well, we got Cats Dockers. The Dockers beat the Cats. We've got Giants Dogs. I think I tipped the Giants in that one.
Okay.
I don't think
I definitely went Dogs, but over in Ballarat too, it seems to be their turf, but not.
Yeah. Well,
not yesterday.
Tassie was our turf at one point as well.
Oh, God.
Gold Coast beat the Lions. That's wild. They 41 points as well.
I think that was their first Q Clash win, I think I might have seen. Could be completely wrong about that.
Don't know.
But I think or maybe something since 2014 or something. But
shout out to Kelly Underwood calling Charlie Cameron Charlie Curnow.
What was the other one you said?
And she called them the Gold Coast Lions as well.
And I tried to say, I was like, I don't think she's actually that bad.
No, she's awful.
The Gold Coast Lions is a huge mess up.
That's a massive blunder. Like, I would never call... I was struggling to remember what she said. It's that, like, out of nowhere and complicated to think of. Anyway, the Swans beat the Bombers by 2 points. Bombers fought back late, but just like North, a little bit
I tipped that,
late.
but also I say that's an upset. And I think Adelaide against Port is the upset too.
Yep, Adelaide beat Port. I love seeing Port lose. I wish the Lions won, because then Port would have dropped to 3rd on percentage.
It's all right. They're going out in straight sets anyway, so
it's fine.
Doesn't
we
really matter.
need a high draft pick, mate. We could have got the 16th pick instead of the 17th.
Of course.
Yeah. This is what I'm looking for. I know what's going down. The Saints beat the Hawks. I tipped the Hawks in that one, but
I actually went Saints. So.
Yeah. D's beat the Lions. Baz Kelly Underwood. The Tigers in the end. Sorry, wrong African predator.
Easy mistake.
Sorry, guys.
We've all done it once.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there. D's beat the Tigers. D's just haven't been that impressive, but I'd say that's not an upset.
Hopefully they stay unimpressive for next week.
And we will not mention the last game of the round.
Well, it was the biggest upset of them all, really.
It was the biggest upset. You know what's the biggest upset? Me right now.
Yeah.
I'm so upset.
I felt that.
Yeah.
It's probably the way to send it off, isn't it? Starting and ending with pure depression and
yes.
Not much hope.
That's the end of the podcast, I think. If you're listening right now, I can't believe how committed you are to this club. I applaud you. Thank you. You're
I would
fans.
say I think these people out here just are looking for that sense of validation to say, yes, I felt that too today, and rolling it together.
Just for a little mental health care check, why do you guys love pain who are listening to this right now? You know, is it a weird kink?
It's got to be that the lower you sink,
The hornier you are.
The rebound is bigger. So
Yeah.
it's all up from here. But
If this club ever wins a premiership in our lifetime, guys, we are going to anything you do, say, or act like will be stricken from the record because you deserve to act like a complete nuffy.
hopefully in your lifetime of the next 5 years, because the stress you've got is really doing a number.
I am going to go and dye my hair because I'm grey. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sitting through the game and joining me.
Yeah, we all felt that.
Yeah.
That was a game, a very sad one.
Thank you for listening to the podcast, and I hope you're still here and things will get better, but let's not act like it'll get better quickly. Let's just be realistic but positive and follow North Melbourne close to a flag.
Yeah,
follow
maybe send some love to a couple of the players.
Send some love to
down.
If
they're
you know
feeling
a North
it today.
fan, ask them if they're fine.
Yeah, North
ask
fan.
them if they're okay.
Your random obscure player at North, reach out. Just tell them that we're all in it.
We're all in this
We're
together.
all feeling feelings.
What's that theme song off that? We're all in this.
That's High School Musical.
Is that High School Musical?
I shouldn't have answered that so quickly.
Wow. Wildcats, go team.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go watch High School Musical together. You guys are going to listen to this podcast and cry. And then by the end of it, we're going to be all happy and united as one.
We're going to recommend you watch High School Musical as well because it has to
think
be
that
a
would
mood
help.
raiser.
Yeah, you want to get uplifted? We all... What's the guy's name? Troy someone?
Troy Bolton.
You would know, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I knew it.
You
You stitched me up because I was like, if I answer this too quickly.
We need... That's the player we need. Post that on close to a
Troy
flag.
Bolton.
All we
Only
need
one
right
man
now
can
is
save us now.
Only one man can save us now. It's Troy Bolton.
Oh.
I'm excited for the North Melbourne Amazon documentary that'll come out in a few years' time of the redemption arc. All right, I'm going to go watch the Ashes or something. The F1's on tonight, so I'm excited to see Max Verstappen win by 25 seconds.
It's not fun at all this season, is it?
At all.
Here's the question of the week. Is there a sport that is currently fun?
Well,
Because I'm not seeing any.
I'd say, and other Premier League fans will disagree with this, I am an Arsenal fan. And as much as, yes, they did lose the league, it has been interesting to me to see Arsenal be 8th and people say we're awful, then finish 5th and people say we're awful because we didn't make top 4, then finish 2nd and people say we're awful because we didn't win the league. And we've been slowly climbing up and up and up and people still say how bad we are. So I think Arsenal is good. Declan Rice, baby. Premier League is coming home to North London.
Maybe we need some chance like that, maybe. Maybe that's how we get things changing around here.
Absolutely. That's
Clarko, don't change any players. Just change the chance.
That's the only reason Admin 3 is an admin, isn't he? For the chance?
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
No, he's well informed.
Yeah, very true. All right, I'm done. I'm going to go over lay down. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening, everybody. We will see you for the preview podcast, and who knows? Clarkson's back next week. New coach bounce. The Demons, they're shaken. They're scared.
It's been fun.
Has
In some ways. Not in all of them.
Okay, no.
It's been an experience.
It has been fun in some ways, but not all.
Yeah.
Nothing more true has ever been said.
Just look after
Quote Admin 1, 2023.
Look after yourselves because, yeah.
Stay safe, guys. Don't go near any, ledges, cliffs, or anything like that because it could end badly. All right. See you later in the week, guys. Thank you for listening.
Farewell.
Thanks for listening to the Further North podcast. We'll be back next week with more great North chat. See you then, Bruce fans.